to the big story tonight. Businesses and consumers in Jammu and Kashmir and across India can now heave a sigh of relief because the state is finally ready to join the GST. After a long wait and a prolonged tussle between the opposition and the ruling alliance, the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly today has passed the resolution to enable the GST rollout. The resolution now needs the approval of the Jammu and Kashmir cabinet before it is sent to the state's governor for his assent. The resolution was adopted by a voice vote in the Assembly, even as the opposition, including the National Conference and the Congress, protested against the implementation. Joining us now is the Finance Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Hasib Drabu. Mr. Drabu, are you a relieved man today? It's been a protracted, long wait, but it's finally over. Take us through the technicalities now that need to be done before you can join the GST regime.
Well, it's not been that long. We're just about 6 days into it. But yes, you're right. I mean, one is relieved, and it has been a kind of a long haul for us. Well, as at the moment, the J&K Legislative Assembly as well as the Legislative Council, because the money bill had to go to both houses, has been the resolution has been passed, which has really kind of asked the government to give consent and concurrence for the implementation of GST regime while safeguarding the existing special constitutional position of J&K and also the legislative competence of the J&K Assembly. The cabinet, post that meeting, post the resolution was passed by the Assembly, met and look at all the got a sense of the House. Based on that, it gave consent and concurrence. From there on, it will go to the governor of J&K, who will then give his assent to it and send it to the government of India, from where we do expect a presidential order, which is called the Constitution Application to J&K Order 2017. That will come because the only way amendments in the Constitution of India that have been made to the Constitution of India can be extended is through a Constitution Application Order of the President. This is specified under Article 370, Subclause 2. So once we get that, then we will go back to the Assembly in a day or so and approve our SGST, which means by 7th we should be fully on the GST regime. But technically speaking, from once the President issues the orders, we are a part of the overall GST regime.
All right, so you're basically saying that by the 7th of July, you should be fully integrated into the GST regime once the presidential assent comes in and all the other technicalities are sorted out. But if I may ask you, sir, you said that the GST law will also have to be kept in mind, that it has to safeguard the constitutional provisions that have been provided to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. What will that mean? You know, because we've seen other state governments, for instance, levy their own entertainment taxes, etc., which are part of the GST law. They're allowed to do that. So what can we expect now from Jammu and Kashmir?
No, it's not about that. I mean, these are really operational matters. What we are talking here is that unlike other states who draw their powers of taxation from Article 246 of the Constitution of India, unlike those, J&K, which is a special state, has a special constitutional status, draws powers from Section 5 of the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. So there have to be modified applications. And essentially, it's not about really that, you know, whether you could shift the cinema taxes to municipality and all that. This is more about retaining the powers of the Legislative Assembly, even as we are a part of the GST regime. So it's more about constitutional status and legislative competence.
But how will that work, Mr. Drabu? Because under the GST regime, as per the constitutional amendment, it is now going to be the GST Council that will override state legislative assemblies. So if Jammu and Kashmir continues to be able to enjoy this power, how does that then reconcile with the GST regime?
No, now GST Council doesn't override state legislatures. What has happened in GST Council is certain pooling of sovereignty where the centre as well as states have shared their powers with the GST Council. In the case of J&K, what we would expect, and that's the sense of the House and the recommendation of the State Cabinet, is that as in events like where it impacts the constitutional position of the state, the process to be followed would have to go through a certain process as laid out under Article 370, which is Article 370 of the Constitution of India. So that is where it will lie. But it all depends on how the draft, not the draft, but the presidential order will come, which should hopefully be with us in a day or so, and then we can discuss each specific modality of how that has been incorporated.
Okay, so we'll wait till we get that presidential order. But in terms of preparedness, how ready is the state to migrate to the GST at this point?
We've already started the process. We had migrating customers, on an auto thing. So we have about, I think, 40% of our dealers are already on the GST information number. We are not too badly off in terms of the other infrastructure, like the IT network. There will be issues. There are bound to be issues in the rest of the country. There will be bound to be issues here also. I think there will be a little more issues here because of the political situation and with the traders and the opposition parties not, being on board for this change. But operationally, we are perhaps as good or as bad as many other states. We are lagging behind the registration part, whereas most states have already done 80 to 90% migration. We have done half of that. So I think for us, it will be like, it'll take another month or so. We also have issues of internet connectivity for registration, the portal will not be working all through in those operational things. I think it'll take us a little longer, but I think we should by September, by the time the first return has to be filed, detailed returns have to be filed, we would be pretty much on course. The thing also is that a lot of these businesses that we have, and the dealers really are under 20 lakhs and 75 lakhs. So a lot of things, this will get under the composition scheme as well as the exempt category. So I don't foresee that kind of a thing, but generally, while we are not just J&K but other states also, as they're migrating, there are bound to be glitches, which as and when they come up, will get resolved.
All right, so we'll check in with you on the 7th and perhaps when you get the presidential assent as well. But thanks very much for joining us. That's Hasib Drabu, the Finance Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir now the last state to come on board.